Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a hot minute since I uploaded. I'm sorry for that. I've been really busy. But anyways, this video is going to be about blazers. Most of you will know that I love to talk about how to dress elegantly and classy, and blazers are just a huge wardrobe staple when it comes to dressing chic and classy. So in this video, I actually wanted to talk about good quality blazers and how to detect them. I've come up with a few points that you can look out for when you're going shopping for your next beautiful blazer that you want to add to your collection. These are like the top things I personally look out for in a blazer. I mean, you can do you, but I just wanted to combine all of the things I have learned over the past few years about suit jacketing and blazers, and just, pass on my knowledge basically. If you like my content, please do leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would be very grateful. But without further ado, let's get right into this video. Alright, starting with tip number 1, which is go for natural materials. So if you've been watching my videos, you will have heard me go on about natural materials like in basically every video, because for me it is very important, and it's something you can track very easily. You just have to look at the label and you know what the garment is made from. So it's this easy and everyone can do it without having any further knowledge. Very important, very important. Why do I think natural materials are better than synthetic materials? So first of all, synthetic materials are just not as breathable as natural materials. I mean, it depends on what natural material, but most of them are quite breathable. And also synthetic materials don't absorb liquids and fluids as good. That sounds a bit gross, but not as good as natural materials. For example, wool can absorb 1/3 of its own weight in liquid without feeling wet. And that actually makes wearing the blazer a lot more comfortable than if you get sweat patches straight away. So I would highly recommend going for natural materials. Of course, each fiber has its own features. So if you, for example, go for wool, which is a very classic suiting material, you will have like a wide variety even with wool. So you can have like very finely woven woolen materials, which is nice for like more classic occasions. You can have like very thick flannel woolen fabrics, which is great for winter time when you get cold very easily. So you've got that variety. You also have like cotton, which is a lot more like a casual material just because it wrinkles a lot more than wool, but it also feels very nice and light and very smooth on the skin. So it does have like these properties. And for example, linen, which creases a lot, but it is very nice to wear in summer because it's very breathable and it dries very fast. So like all of them have their own little perks and disadvantages maybe, and it really depends on what you're looking for. So you can actually pick out your blazer and the material used for the blazer according to the purpose you want to use it for. So that was point number 1. Point number 2, the insides should be as neatly done as the outside. Good quality doesn't only mean it looks very nice and polished on the outside, but it is equally as important that it looks very nicely done on the inside. What do I mean by that? You don't want to have loose threads hanging. You want everything to be very nice and straight, like every seam should be nicely done. I always prefer to have like a lining in your classic suit jacket, but even if it's unlined, how are the edges finished? Sometimes designers and companies have like a very thin lining strip around the seam allowance, so it's like very nicely finished off, for example. So this is one of my blazers that I wear to work, and as you might be able to tell, the inside looks very nice. Like you've got this red lining, which I picked and I love, and it's like all finished around the seams. You've got like the little pockets with the same lining, and it's just very nicely done. And I do believe that is something that makes a good blazer a good blazer. Tip number 3. look out for working buttons and pockets. Something that you can also pay closer attention to is actually, are all of the buttons working? These are like sleeve buttons, and as you might be able to tell, as I'm trying to showcase here right now, they are all working. So these are all like real buttonholes and buttons. So now I'm not able to close them again. Oopsie. No, but they're all working, which is amazing because a lot of companies actually skip on that step because it is quite labor intensive. Like doing all of these buttonholes takes time and takes effort. Therefore, having working buttons is actually a quality sign. If you have working buttons, a lot of people like to actually showcase them because in the world of suiting and tailoring, people will acknowledge that you have working buttons. It's something like normally you wouldn't really pay attention to, but if you like are into suiting and are into like blazer styles and stuff, this is something very highly appreciated by suit lovers or like blazer lovers. So this, for one, very nice detail and very good sign that a blazer is good quality, as well as pockets that work. So I have a chest pocket and I've got 2 flat pockets and all of them are working. They are still sewn shut because I don't actually use them, but they are working. Again, something that is more labor intensive than simply faking a pocket. However, I don't think it is a deal breaker if like the jacket doesn't have working sleeve buttons. It is nice to have that detail, but it's not necessary, and you can get a good quality blazer that doesn't have working buttons. That's what I'm trying to say. Point number 4, attention to detail. The more details you add to a blazer, the more labor intensive it's gonna get, and the higher the quality is gonna get. So if you have like a lot of pockets inside of your blazer, for example, and if you have like a hand-stitched buttonhole on your lapel, or for example, if you have like the label of the mill that the fabric came from inside of your jacket, or details like pleated shoulders, which is also quite labor intensive because they have to put in the shoulders by hand, for example. These are all things that take time and cost therefore more. All of these can be a sign of a very thought through design and a good quality blazer. And last but not least, point number 5, which is pattern matching. Pattern matching for me is a telltale sign that a blazer is good quality. First of all, it does take a lot more fabric to create a blazer where the pattern making is like perfectly on point, rather than just cutting pieces out like randomly and placing them together. It is quite difficult. I actually made a checked coat one time and it took, number 1, quite a lot of fabric, as I said, and number 2, it takes a lot of time to get the checks perfectly, like on the shoulders, on the back part, on the seams. It is quite tricky and time consuming, therefore like you don't really see it on like lower price blazers. And for me, knowing how difficult it is to pattern match, because I've done it myself, I really appreciate when someone makes the effort to actually match the pattern. So if you notice the checks and stripes matching perfectly, I do believe that what you are looking at is a good quality garment. To finish off this video, I thought I would talk about fitting, like how a blazer should fit if it's a tailored blazer. I'm not talking about oversized blazers because oversized blazers can just like fit however you want them to. So I'm not including that, but if you want like a fitted blazer, I just want to give you a tiny little guide what to look out for when going shopping for it. So we've got 4 points of sizing basically to determine if you're wearing like the right size and if it fits you well. First of all, the shoulders. So the blazer should come right about where your shoulder ends and not further out. Again, I'm talking about like tailored fitted blazers and not about oversized blazers. I mean, they can go wider if you want to, but for a fitted blazer, you want it to end at your shoulder. So as you might be able to tell, this blazer actually ends very nicely right about where my shoulder ends, so it fits perfectly in this case. Next point of sizing is your waist. You want to have a very nicely fitted waist, so it shouldn't be too tight, so you don't want to have like a lot of tension, but a little bit of tension is fine. Like sometimes you see on the closing button that there's a little bit of tension, that's fine, but not too much. You shouldn't feel like you're like squeezed into the blazer. You should feel comfortable, you should feel flexible, as if there's a little bit of room for you to move. Not too much, because you still want to keep your nice silhouette, but it's just very important that you feel comfortable when wearing your blazer. Point number 3 is sleeve length. I think the length of the sleeve is very important, because having your sleeves too long is just gonna make the jacket look too big. Even if the other points of sizing are perfect, the jacket just doesn't look as if it fits right. So I would recommend having the sleeves at the point where your arm goes into your hand, like right at your wrist. That way it's not gonna be too long, like sitting on your hand. And also what's nice, you have like room for your shirt to peek out a little bit. Actually, back in the day, it was very common to have your shirt longer than the sleeve of your blazer. The people use the shirt to keep the blazer as clean as possible, because you can always wash a shirt. It's made from cotton, it's very easy to take care of. You can wash it very hot and get the dirt out quite easily. Wool is a bit more delicate, so that's actually the history behind it. So going with the length I recommended for the sleeves is actually gonna give you like a little bit of room to have your shirt resting on the top of your hand. I think the sleeve can be like 1 centimeter longer than the suiting jacket or your blazer, and it's just gonna make the jacket look a lot more balanced and nice and tidy compared to if you have a longer sleeve. Point number 4, the length of your jacket. So I'm not going to tell you this is the exact length that you have to wear your jacket. All I want to say is have a look at your body type, find out what suits you best, like what length suits you best. If you have shorter legs, maybe go for a jacket that's a bit shorter, so you kind of make your legs look longer. And if you have like a shorter upper body, you could go for something that's a bit longer. Men have actually quite strict rules when it comes to the length of the blazer, and I do believe women are a lot more flexible. So really, I don't want to give you any kind of length recommendation. The only thing I want to say, buy what fits your body best and what looks best on you and where you feel the most comfortable in. One thing I want to say is, if you have a jacket that you love and doesn't quite meet all of the points of sizing I just talked about, don't worry, you can always take the garment to a tailor. Tailors can do a lot, so they can shorten your sleeves, they can shorten the jacket, they can make your waist tighter, so they actually can make this garment fit you perfectly. You will have your blazer back in a few days and it will look perfect on you, so don't be afraid to go to a tailor. Alright guys, so this was my video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. I do hope that you found this video helpful. Please let me know if you did. I would be very glad. If you like my content in general, you can always hit the subscribe button if you wanted to. I hope you're going to have a lovely week. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you for next week's video. Goodbye.